from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. This is the National News Telecast. I'm Movin Hettiarachchi.
And I'm Dilanjali Anand. These are the top stories for tonight.
GSP Plus EU tax concessions have been extended for another 4 years. Anti-corruption draft bill passed with amendments. The World Bank says Sri Lanka is now entering to the right track. Active contribution of public officials is stressed for the success of the Aswasumu beneficiary program. Import of rice and several other crops have been stopped for this year. Minister of Wildlife says there is no problem in the treatments of the injured elephant Agbo. A principal in Homagama sets up a smart library using a gift offered to him. Singapore passport ranks #1 in the world. Now on to those and more stories in detail on it. Today's top story. The European Commission has proposed a 4-year extension to the current GSP Plus scheme until December 31st, 2027, allowing countries like Sri Lanka to continue to access into the European Union markets.
According to the delegation of the European Union to Sri Lanka, the extension has been provided as a result of ongoing negotiations between the co-legislators of the European Union regarding the new GSP Plus arrangement. The move ensures that countries such as Sri Lanka do not lose their preferential access in the interim. The delegation of the European Union to Sri Lanka further said that the extension of the tariff facility will grant Sri Lanka continued access to the EU markets with the same obligations under 27 international conventions. The European Union GSP regulation to be adopted for 2024 to 2033 will be effective from 1st January 2024 for the next 10 years. But the World Bank says Sri Lanka is now successfully entering into the right track of overcoming its economic crisis.
The World Bank Country Director Fariz Hadan Zevros says that Sri Lanka's economy is more decisive in the upcoming 2 years. He made these remarks delivering a special lecture organized by the Sri Lanka Press Club yesterday. He is the World Bank Director for Sri Lanka, Nepal and Maldives.
I think I will optimistically, but I believe realistically say that now we're in an economic recovery phase. It will still be difficult. Some difficult decisions have to be made. Some have been made, but it's now the time to do it and do it right so we don't have to do it again. One area where we should see as a very positive sign is the government's work on securing the IMF, EFF, the Extended Fund Facility, or as we all know, the IMF program. And there's also been good progress with the parliamentary approval of the domestic debt restructure and securing international financial support from the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. I recall I was in the US last week actually, and we're very happy to say that we took to our board of directors a new 4-year strategy for Sri Lanka and also approved for this year an initial amount of $700 million, of which $500 million would go towards budget support and reforms, and another $200 million would go towards social protection system. We expect to extend more resources this year to help in the financial sector, but that's a very good step, and that's based on some of the key reforms that already have been taken. Yet this is not the end of the road, but it's a good journey so far. It's been very difficult. We see a good turn, and we have to go on, and we're still on the path to recovery. And it's going to be long. It won't be short, but I think we have the opportunity together to stay the course. The next 2 years are going to be infinitely critical for Sri Lanka's recovery. There are more significant headwinds that need to be closely monitored. Some of them are internal and some of them are external, things that are facing the entire world. And remember that Sri Lanka, like many countries actually, was toppled over the past few years by 3 consecutive shocks. That's the story, basically. A country that has had a legacy, a series over time of perhaps economic policies that were less than optimal and that rendered the country fragile. It made it weak in the face of shocks. And then you had 3 shocks. You had Easter Sunday attacks. A year later you had COVID. 2 years later, you had the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the impact on the global economy. Any country would struggle under the face of these shocks, but Sri Lanka was already weakened. The immune system was already weakened through economic policies. And so what we need to do is we need to get ourselves, and I consider myself, when I say we, us, people of Sri Lanka, government of Sri Lanka, civil society, and the World Bank, as one team. We have to get ourselves better, but we have to work on our immunity and strengthen ourselves so we can survive future shocks.
In other news, Professor Prathiba Mohanala says that President Ranil Wickremesinghe's statement that the police powers mentioned in the 13th Amendment can only be empowered by the agreement of all party leaders in Parliament is significant step.
He made this comment focusing his attention to the matters erupted at the discussion held in Parliament premises yesterday with the Tamil parliamentarians who represent northern and eastern provinces.
As a result of 1987 Hindu Lanka peace accord, Sri Lanka got the 13th Amendment, that is provincial council. So provincial councils are there basically for the devolution of power. But up to now, not a single leader has actively operated or implemented the 13th Amendment. So after 14 years even, we are thinking in such a situation is a positive thing, because the 13th Amendment, the only issue coming up today is land issue as well as the police powers. Sri Lanka, provincial councils, one country, one nation, that is Sri Lankans, and we have to go forward with this message. For that, Sri Lanka is a unitary country, that is clearly there in the constitution. Provincial councils are not divided in the country, as well as we have only one IGP. It is coming under the central government. Therefore, no IGPs are coming in north or east or other provinces. So what we have to do, collaboratively see, and the president making a genuine effort even to grant the police powers. What we have to do, get all the consent from the political party leaders as well as the parliament 2/3 majority, or otherwise there is a referendum. So that is the correct way. So first discussion, and honestly the TNA leaders must come to the table, honestly, genuinely, not with a political angle. You must see this is for the country. So that discussion is widely important, which is happening.
Chief of the President's Staff and Senior Advisor to the National Defence, Sagala Ratnayaka, says that the active contribution of the public officials in the country is essentially to swiftly implement the Aswasuma Social Welfare Benefit Programme.
He made these remarks at a special discussion held yesterday at the President's office. He pointed out that the policy decisions for empowerment of low-income people should be taken without delay. Since such decisions were not taken properly, the country had to face many economic problems during the past period. The progress of the Aswasuma program so far was reviewed at this meeting. Senior Advisor Sagala Ratnak instructed the officials to grant the benefits to all beneficiaries who have been listed in the renal disease, disabled and elderly categories. He also stressed the need to properly identify the Aswasuma beneficiaries. Therefore, the request the assistance of the Samruddhi development officials in this regard. He also stressed the need to maintain this program through new technologies. State Minister Shehan Semasinghe and several others were present at the meeting.
The working committee has been appointed to re-employ workers who lost their jobs due to the economic crisis. It was pointed out at a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat today with the participation of Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakkara and the President's Secretary Saman Ekanayaka.
Now, the anti-corruption draft bill was passed in Parliament unanimously with amendments. The anti-corruption bill was presented to the Parliament on the 21st of June. The debate of the second reading of the bill was held 2 days and the third reading was taken place today. At the committee stage debate today, the amendments proposed by the judiciary were passed with the amendments of both the governing party and the opposition. Meanwhile, Minister Dr. Bandala Gunawardene submitted a detailed report to the Parliament today regarding the controversial iron and galvanized fittings theft at the New Kalani Bridge. Now, we focused our attention from the main news bulletin yesterday regarding the health condition of the elephant Agbo that has been resting in the Tirupani area with gunshot injuries.
has become essential for provide the proper treatment to the injured elephant and with swift coordinations with the relevant institutions. The treatment for the Agbo tusker began on the 12th of June. The wildlife veterinary officers have treated the tusker in 13 locations since then amidst many difficulties. The wildlife department says that adequate stocks of medicine are available for the treatment of the elephant, and the wildlife officers have deliberately that the tusker should not be sedated considering the large size of the animal. Even though the tusker has cyclically recovered from the treatments, but the elephant is yet to overcome the prevailing serious condition. Environmentalists have pointed out the need to alter the treatment of the methodology in order to avert any danger of the life of the elephant. The wildlife officials and Pandulugamige wildlife veterinary officials are committed to treat the elephant, even though there is a slight recovery of the wound following the treatment. There is a risk of health condition due to the spreading of the wound. Many environmentalists and animal lovers point out that the treatment methodology for the elephant should be changed. They point out the detailing that the elephant is in a limited area using an experienced medical team is the most successful mean to treat the elephant. The wildlife department says there is no shortage of medicines for the elephant. Some groups have sent required antibodies from the foreign countries. Due to the animal's inability to move, it has a problem getting the sufficient amount of food. Therefore, a need has arisen to provide the creature sufficient amount of sustenance. However, at a press briefing held at the media centre today, Wildlife Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi said there is no problem erupting in the treatment of the elephant Agbo.
Now, estate workers expressed their contentment regarding the reduction of wheat flour price by the Prima company. They say that their main foods are prepared using wheat flour. The Prima company has informed its marketing dealers that price of a kilo of wheat flour has been reduced by 10 rupees with effect from yesterday. Estate workers point out that the price reduction of wheat flour is a benefit for them. Now, Singapore has overtaken Japan to boast of the world's most powerful passport according to the Henley Passport Index. The global passport ranking for 2023 was conducted based on data provided by the International Air Transport Authority, which ranks the world's passports based on the number of destinations their holders can access without a prior visa. Germany, Italy and Spain tied in second place, with their citizens being able to visit 190 global destinations. Other passports that tied with Japan to rank third place are Austria, Finland, France, Luxembourg, South Korea and Sweden. Sri Lanka has been ranked at 95th place, making it able for visitors of 41 countries without prior visa. Maldives continues to be the brightest spot in the South Asian region on the Passport Index, with its citizens enjoying visa-free access to 91 destinations. India is positioned at the second spot in the region, with Afghanistan is placed in the last position at 103, with its citizens having visa-free access to only 27 nations.
The Government Information Department entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Sripali University of Faculty of the Colombo University and the Ministry of Mass Media. The MOU was signed yesterday at the auditorium of the Ministry of Mass Media under the patronage of Minister Dr. Bandula Gurunardana. The aim of the MOU is to promote a quality mass media culture. Under this agreement, more opportunities will be given to students for this endeavour. Horana Sripali faculty of the Colombo University Mass Media Division is the main body that confers degrees on mass media. Secretary of the Ministry, Anusha Palpitiya, signed the MOU on behalf of the Ministry. Director General of the Government Information Department, Dinet Chayantaka Karunaratna, and Additional Director General Lekha Patirana signed the Information Department. Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratna, Dean of the Sripali Faculty, Dr. Prathiba Maheva, and Lecturer Sugat Mahinder Senrat signed it on behalf of the Colombo University. Minister Dr. Bandula Gurunardana said that the Ministry of Mass Media has a large amount of resources. Therefore, the university students and academic staff should be permitted to use the resources to carry out their academic research and other activities. In many instances, university students have no faculty for academic activities. Through this MOU, they will be able to mutually use the physical layer resources free of charge. This is beneficial for both parties. The students who studies mass media subjects in university will be able to do so practical work in Lake House, National Television, ITN, Government Information Department and so on.
The Agricultural Department stresses that there is no need to import rice, green gram, black gram, kurakan, cowpea or kidney bean and peanuts this year. The Agricultural Department revealed these facts, presenting a report requested by Minister Mahinda Amaravira regarding the expected harvest of rice and other crops this year. The government has imported over 800,000 metric tons of rice last year at a cost of $400 million. However, since the government had issued chemical fertilizer for farmers, they have obtained a high yield at present. Accordingly, the Agriculture Department states that there is no need to import rice this year. Green gram has been cultivated in a large scale of land in the Hambantota district. The annual need of cowpea or kidney bean is about 15,000 metric tons. Farmers have been able to gather cowpea harvest over 13,000 metric tons during this year. The Agriculture Department says therefore no need to import cowpea at present. Harvest of black gram, peanuts and kurakan is also sufficient for the local consumption. The Export Agriculture Department has started a new program to issue quality certificates for spices crops in the country. Through the export agricultural crops, a sum of $455 million has been earned in the last year. The Agriculture Department says that the new quality certificate program was introduced to have proper program for spices and to introduce a quality standard for the procedures or the producers.
The United National Party held its inauguration of the Youth Professionals Organization and its first executive meeting at the Sirikota Party headquarters recently. These events were held under the patronage of United National Party National Organizer Sagala Ratnayaka. Roadmap to make Sri Lanka a fully developed country by 2048, which was prepared by the UNP Youth Professionals Organization, was launched at this meeting. New members were also inaugurated at this event. Deputy Leader of UNP, Akila Viraj Karyavasam, Chairman of the Youth Professionals Organization, Attorney Sumudu Kakulanda, and many others were present at this occasion.
We are focused, we are not going to play any. We have to build that confidence up as well. So this means regulation, this means the right laws to be brought in, working on. There's 100 odd laws that need to come in the next week. But let me assure you, we want to take this down the right path. There's a lot of people who like to see it collapse. Why? They have no political future if the country does well. We are focused, we are not going to play any politics. We want to set the country right. We want to deliver. People in this country deserve it. They have to have it. The youth need a future. We can't have all of them going overseas. That will be part of our economy, the overseas employed youth. But that can't be our policy. Our policy has to be to have a manufacturing industry, to have develop the tourism industry, to have the growth, the small and medium enterprises that come along with it, so that our youth have opportunity here and they can look forward to something and they have a future here. This also includes things like education. So lots of things to do. It's been a politically influenced program, so it'll take a year, maybe year and a half, two to completely clean it. But that doesn't mean we should not face up to it. We are ready to face up to it. We are not going to back. A lot of MPs got scared and said we should delay it. No, we can't delay it, because every time you delay it, you're delaying justice to the people. It's their money. You're giving it to. If you give the money that is due for the poor to those who have it, then you're doing the wrong thing by the taxpayer. And the taxpayer doesn't not necessarily mean only the income taxpayers. We collect VAT. Everybody pays that. So a lot of good things to do. And this country has a tremendous, we just have to get the reforms right and the growth agenda correct.
Now, epilepsy is not a hindrance for any person to pursue their education, engage in fun activities, be employed or be married. Many popular global figures, including world leaders, philosophers, scientists, athletes and artists, have continued to excel in their respective fields even with such health conditions. Epilepsy is a common condition that affects the brain and causes frequent seizures. Seizures are bursts of electrical activity in the brain that temporarily affect its functioning. Epilepsy can be diagnosed in any age, but usually it's either in childhood or in people over 60. Seizures can affect people in different ways, including uncontrollable shaking, known as a fit, becoming stiff, losing awareness, collapsing, and strange sensations in various parts of the body. Epilepsy is usually a lifelong condition, but most people with the condition are able to have normal lives through appropriate treatments. The state hospitals in the country provide necessary treatments for patients with the condition free of charge.
Epilepsy is a physical illness. It is not a spirit-related disorder as was popularly believed earlier. It is due to abnormal, disorderly electrical activity in the brain. This can manifest in several ways. What is popularly recognized is where someone loses consciousness, perhaps falls on the ground with stiffening and jerking of the limbs. In addition to that, there are many other ways that epilepsy can manifest. One is where you can simply have altered awareness, altered consciousness, or abnormal awareness. Another way is where you can have some sort of sensory abnormalities, numbness, rising numbness, and so on. Epilepsy can manifest in several ways. What is popularly recognized is where someone loses consciousness and falls on the ground with stiffening and jerking of the limbs. In addition to that, the patient may lose awareness with altered sensations in the body. Epilepsy is a highly treatable condition with a whole lot of medications now available which can control the disease to a great extent. A large number of patients, once we control the seizure for several years, can be tailed off, and one may consider them as being cured of the disease. While there are precautions to be taken when one has epilepsy, many of our patients can lead normal lives. There are certain things that one should be careful about, such as driving. For instance, if you are having active seizures, you shouldn't be driving. The law, I think, allows you, law does not permit you to drive until you are seizure free for at least a year. Similarly, it is prudent to avoid taking part in dangerous activities such as mountain climbing high places, trees, roofs, and so on. Also, it's better to avoid things like scuba diving and swimming in open water. Swimming in closed water is allowed provided that the coach is aware that the child is getting seizures.
Now, principal has donated a smart library to his school in the area of Homagama.
He accomplished this using a financial gift of 3.1 million rupees by past students and the parents of the school. Kasunguratna, who functioned as the principal of Mahinda Rajapaksa Vidyalaya in Pitipana for about 9 years, was transferred to the Bandaranaike Central College in Gampaha. To felicitate him at this transfer, Association, School Development Committee and the parents jointly offered this amount to the principal. However, he rejected the money and requested the School Development Committee to set up a smart library for the school, which was needed for the school for a long time. The relevant parties accepted his proposal and completed the project within a short period. Principal Kasunguratna visited the new smart library to the students of the Mahinda Rajapaksa Vidyalaya before he left the school on the transfer.
Now, India has signed an agreement with the United Arab Emirates to settle bilateral trade in Indian rupees instead of US dollars, boosting India's efforts to cut transaction costs by eliminating dollar conversions. During a visit by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the UAE recently, the two countries also agreed to set up a real-time payment link to facilitate easier cross-border money transfers. The two agreements will enable seamless cross-border transactions and payments and foster greater economic cooperation, said a statement from the Reserve Bank of India. India, the world's third biggest oil importer and consumer, and whose central bank last year announced a framework for settling global trade in rupees, currently pays for UAE oil in dollars. Bilateral trade between the two countries was $84.5 billion in the year from April 2022 to March 2023. The Reserve Bank of India said the two central banks agreed to link India's unified payments interface and UAE's instant payment platform. Such arrangements, which are a growing trend in Asia, typically lower the cost of payments. Now, a film festival to commemorate world leader Nelson Mandela, who pioneered elimination of apartheid, was held at the Tharangani Hall of the Film Corporation yesterday. This was the first time a film festival organized to commemorate him.
A special Thai music festival was held in Colombo yesterday. The event was organized by the Thai Embassy in Colombo. A special traditional Thai music performance was conducted by Western Dawn Tree, a traditional music band from Thailand. The Thai community living in Sri Lanka and many other dignitaries were present on this occasion to enjoy the rhythm and the beauty of the Thai traditional music. Again, a film festival was recently held to commemorate the world leader Nelson Mandela, who pioneered the elimination of the apartheid, held at the Tharangani Hall or Film Hall of the Film Corporation yesterday.
This is the first time a film festival organized to commemorate him. The film festival was held under the patronage of Minister Bandula Gunawardena. Documentaries related to Nelson Mandela's character and several other cinema creations were screened at this festival. Several lectures were also delivered, and the keynote address was delivered by Professor Premakumara De Silva. Diplomats, academics, artists and many other guests were present at this occasion. Kadira Devya Raj film will be screened in cinema halls island-wide from the 3rd of next month. This film has been created using the legendary love story between god Katharagama and deity Valli Mata. She was a pretty lady, lived among the Aboriginal clan. Many legends relating to the character of god Katharagama and several other historic stories have been referred in creating this film. Director of the film is Emeritus Professor Sunil Aryaratna, and chairman of the Raigam Group of Companies Dr. Ravi Lianage is the producer of the film. The premiere of the film was screened at Saval Cinema in Vellavatta. And that's all local news. Stay tuned for international stories coming up next.
Kutumi, Fantamai.
Now on foreign news, red alerts for extreme heat are in place in the most of Italy as many cities experience a heat wave that intensifies in degrees in Europe.
Temperatures have peaked today with 23 cities on high alert from Trevi, the northeast of Messina in the southwest. The warnings mean the heat poses a threat to everybody, not just vulnerable groups. Wildfires are also raging across the continent, including in Greece and the Swiss Alps. Millions of people in the northern hemisphere are being affected by scorching temperatures. It is being caused by a high-pressure system bringing warmer tropical air south of jet stream currently stuck over Central Europe.
Prima Kutumi, Fantamai.
Now on sports news, we are looking at cricketing news. Today is the fourth day of the first test against Pakistan played in Galle. At the stumps today, Pakistan was 48 for the loss of 3 wickets in their second innings. Pakistan needs another 83 runs to win this match.
When the match opened today in Galle, Sri Lanka were 14 for no wickets in the second innings. Sri Lanka scored 279 runs in the second innings. Dhananjay De Silva scored 82 runs at the highest scorer. Pakistan was given a victory target of 131 runs in the second innings. They lost their first 3 wickets in 38 runs. Sri Lanka scored 312 runs in the first innings and Pakistan were 461 runs in the first innings. Dinesh Priyantha and Samita Dulan, who won bronze medals at the World Championship Para-Athletic Tournament held in Paris, returned to the island this morning. They were warmly welcomed at the airport. Dinesh Priyantha won the bronze medal in the F46 category javelin throw. Samita Dulan won the bronze in F64 category javelin throw event.
Rima Kutumi, Bantamai.
That's it for tonight's English Tales telecast. Thank you for joining us. Good night.